What does it feel like to be invincible? Not to believe you are invincible. To actually be invincible. To walk through the world knowing with absolute certainty that no human being alive can hurt you. That every person you meet is calculating whether they could survive if you decided to destroy them. That fear follows you like a shadow, and that shadow belongs to everyone else. Mike Tyson knew that feeling. For 5 years, he had been untouchable. 44 men had tried to beat him. 44 men had failed. Most of them had not lasted long enough to understand what hit them. They entered the ring with plans and strategies and hope. They left on stretchers, unable to remember their own names. This is what power does when it is absolute. It creates a reality where normal rules do not apply. Where the question is never whether you will win, but how quickly. But here is something that no one tells you about invincibility. It is a prison. When you cannot be touched, you cannot be reached. When everyone fears you, no one truly sees you. You become your power, and your power becomes your cage, and somewhere inside that cage is a person who has forgotten what it feels like to be human. This is a story about what happens when invincibility meets something it cannot destroy. When the most powerful man alive discovers that there is a kind of strength that does not fight back, because it does not need to. This story did not happen. Bruce Lee died in 1973. Mike Tyson was 7 years old. They never met. But some stories are true even when they did not happen. Come with me. The warehouse was empty except for 2 men. Tyson had demanded privacy. No trainers. No cameras. No witnesses to whatever was about to happen. He had heard rumors about an old man in Los Angeles who could not be hit. Rumors that sounded like fairy tales, like the kind of nonsense people invented to pretend that power was not the only thing that mattered. He had come to end those rumors. The old man stood in the center of the empty space, waiting. He was small, maybe 5'7", thin, with the kind of body that Tyson could break without trying. He looked like a grandfather. He looked like prey. But his eyes were wrong. They held no fear. Not the fake courage of men who were terrified but hiding it. Not the bravado of fighters who talked big and crumbled when the pressure came. This was something different. Something Tyson had never encountered in a lifetime of making people afraid. This man was not pretending to be unafraid. He simply was not afraid. "You're the one they talk about," Tyson said, his voice echoing in the empty space. "The one who trained with Bruce Lee. The one who says speed beats power. I do not say it. I know it. You know it." Tyson laughed, and the sound was not kind. "You know that speed beats this?" He raised his fist. Even relaxed, it was a weapon. The fist that had ended careers, that had put men in hospitals, that had made the entire world afraid. Yes. One word. No hosetaschen. No doubt. Something flickered in Tyson's chest. Something he did not recognize because he had not felt it in years. Uncertainty. He pushed it down, crushed it the way he crushed everything that threatened his sense of invincibility. This old man was going to learn what everyone learned eventually. That talk meant nothing, that reputation meant nothing, that the only thing that mattered was what happened when fists started flying. Then let's find out. Wong. That was the old man's name. Tyson would learn later. Simply nodded. Whenever you are ready, if you are feeling the tension building, if you sense that something is about to shatter, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. Because what happens next is the moment when invincibility died. Tyson attacked. Not a test. Not a probe. He threw the punch that had knocked out Michael Spinks in 91 seconds. The punch that sports writers call the most devastating in boxing history. The punch that arrived before opponents knew it was coming. It hit nothing. Wong was not there. Tyson's fist passed through empty air, and his momentum carried him forward, off balance for just a fraction of a second. In that fraction, something touched his throat. Wong's finger, resting lightly on Tyson's windpipe. "Dead," Wong said quietly. 1 second. Tyson spun away, his heart suddenly pounding. What the hell had just happened? He had thrown that punch 1,000 times. No one avoided it. No one even saw it coming. Again, he growled. He attacked again. Faster. A combination this time. The jab to set up the left hook to set up the uppercut. 3 punches that flowed together like poetry, each one capable of ending a fight on its own. None of them landed. Wong moved through the combination like water through rocks. Not dodging. That implied effort, reaction, a response to threat. He simply was not where the punches were. He existed in the spaces between Tyson's attacks, untouchable, unreachable. And each time Tyson missed, that touch would come. Throat, temple, heart. Gentle reminders that while Tyson was swinging at air, Wong could have been ending him. 3 seconds. 4 seconds. 5 seconds. Tyson stopped. He had not decided to stop. His body simply stopped, frozen in place, his fist still raised, but motionless. His chest heaved. His eyes were wide. He was afraid. Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet, the most feared fighter of his generation, the human being that other human beings had nightmares about, was afraid. And he could not move. 6 seconds. The exchange had taken 6 seconds. And in those 6 seconds, something inside Mike Tyson had broken. Not his body, his certainty, the absolute knowledge that he could destroy anyone, the invincibility that had defined him since he was a teenager, the cage that had protected him and imprisoned him in equal measure. Gone. Wong relaxed from his ready position. The predator was gone, if it had ever been there. In its place was something gentler, almost paternal. Breathe, he said softly. You are safe. Nothing bad is happening. Breathe. Tyson realized he had been holding his breath. He exhaled, and the exhale sounded like something between a gasp and a sob. What? His voice cracked. He tried again. What just happened? You met something your power could not solve, and your mind did not know what to do, so it froze. Wong took a step closer, his movements slow, non-threatening. This is normal. This is what the body does when its primary strategy fails. It stops, waiting for new instructions. I've never frozen. Not once. Not ever. Because you have never failed. You have never met something you could not overpower. Your mind has only one solution for every problem. Destroy it. When destruction becomes impossible, your mind has nothing left to offer. Tyson's fists slowly lowered. The fight had gone out of him, not the rage that was still there, burning beneath the surface. But the certainty that had fueled his violence for so long was gone. Ow, he whispered. I'm faster than most heavyweights. I've hit people before they saw me move. How did you? Speed beats power, Wong said. Not because speed is faster. You are very fast. Because speed that sees is faster than speed that merely moves. I don't understand. Wong sat down on the concrete floor, cross-legged, as casual as if they were in a living room instead of an empty warehouse. He gestured for Tyson to join him. The heavyweight champion of the world, still trembling from an experience he could not explain, sat down across from an old man who had just dismantled his entire identity. When you punch, Wong began, what do you see? My target, where I'm trying to hit. Exactly. You see where you want your fist to go. But you do not see me. Not really. You see a target, an obstacle, a thing to be destroyed. And because you're only seeing the destination, you miss everything that happens before you arrive. What happens before I arrive? I leave. Wong smiled slightly. Before your fist begins to move, I know where it will go. Your eyes tell me. Your shoulders tell me. Your weight shift tells me. By the time your brain sends the signal to your arm, I'm already moving to somewhere else. That's impossible. I'm too fast. You are too fast to react to. You are not too fast to anticipate. There's a difference. Wong held up his hand. When I watch you, I do not watch your fists. I watch the decisions that create your fists, the intentions that become movements, the thoughts that become actions. These happen before the punch. And if I can see them, I can be gone before the punch arrives. Tyson sat in silence, processing. Something was shifting in his understanding, some fundamental assumption being quietly dismantled. You're saying you read my mind. I'm saying I read your body. But the body and the mind are not separate things. Your body speaks your intentions before your conscious mind knows what they are. Every fighter broadcasts what they are about to do. Most opponents are too slow to receive the broadcast. I am not. Bruce Lee taught you this. Wong nodded slowly. Bruce spent his entire life studying this one thing. Not punching, not kicking, seeing. He believed that the ultimate martial art was not a collection of techniques, but a quality of perception. The ability to see clearly, without assumption, without expectation, without the filters that make us slow. And that's why speed beats power. That is why perception beats everything. Power is meaningless if it cannot find its target. Speed is meaningless if it does not know where to go. But perception, true perception, the kind that sees intention before action, that turns every strength against itself. He leaned forward slightly. Your power is real, Mike. Your speed is real, but you use them blindly. You overwhelm opponents before they can respond, so you never need to see clearly. You have won so many fights that you have never learned to fight. Not really. The words should have made Tyson angry. A week ago, they would have made him violent. But something had changed in the last 6 seconds. Something had broken open, and through the crack, a different kind of truth was entering. What would I need to learn? To see like you see? Wong studied him for a long moment. What he saw seemed to satisfy him. You would need to learn stillness. The mind that is always attacking cannot see clearly. It sees threats and targets, not reality. To perceive truly, you must be able to be still, even in motion, even in combat. A stillness underneath the movement that allows you to see what is actually happening instead of what you expect to happen. I don't know how to be still. I've never been still. My whole life I've been moving, fighting, surviving. I know. Wong's voice was gentle now. I know about the boy from Brownsville. The one who learned that violence was the only way to stop being a victim. The one who built himself into a weapon because weapons do not feel pain. Tyson looked away. His jaw was tight. You don't know anything about me. I know that your power comes from wounds, that your speed comes from fear. But the monster the world sees is a fortress built by a child who did not know any other way to survive. He paused, and when he spoke again, his voice was almost tender. I also know that the fortress has become a prison, that the boy inside has been waiting for someone to see him, that underneath all that power is someone who is very, very tired of being afraid. Something cracked in Tyson's expression. The mask that had terrified the world for years developed a fissure. And through that fissure, for just a moment, the boy was visible, hurt, alone, desperately wanting to be seen by someone who was not afraid of him. How do you know that? Tyson's voice was rough. Because Bruce was the same. Different wounds, but the same pattern. He built speed the way you built power, as a wall between himself and a world that had hurt him. And he spent his whole life learning that walls keep out healing as effectively as they keep out harm. If this moment is reaching something in you, if you recognize the walls you have built to protect yourself, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe. Because what happens next is about more than fighting. What did Bruce do to take down the walls? He practiced seeing, not just opponents, himself. He learned to observe his own patterns, his own fears, his own defenses. He became still enough to watch his mind without being controlled by it. And slowly, over years, the walls became doors. He could close them when he needed protection. He could open them when he needed connection. Wong stood and offered his hand to help Tyson up. I cannot teach you everything Bruce learned. That would take years. But I can teach you the beginning. The first step towards seeing clearly. Would you like that? Tyson looked at the offered hand. The hand of a man who had just shown him that his power was an illusion. The hand of a man who had seen through him completely and not been destroyed. He took it. Wong pulled him to his feet with surprising strength. We begin with breathing. Not the breathing of fighting, sharp and aggressive. The breathing of seeing, slow and receptive. Close your eyes. Tyson closed his eyes. The darkness felt vulnerable. He was accustomed to watching for threats, to keeping his eyes moving, to never being caught off guard. Breathe in slowly. Count to 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. And as you breathe, do not try to think or not think. Simply notice. Notice what arises. Notice without judging. Tyson breathed. It felt awkward, artificial, like trying to walk while thinking about each step. But he kept going. In for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. And slowly, something began to happen. The constant chatter of his mind, the planning, the calculating, the endless vigilance started to quiet. Not disappear, just settle, like sediment sinking to the bottom of a disturbed pond. Good, Wong said softly. Now, with your eyes still closed, I am going to move around you. Not touching, just moving. I want you to feel where I am. Not here. I will be silent. Not see. Your eyes are closed. Feel. Tyson stood in darkness, breathing slowly, trying to feel something he did not know how to feel. And then, somehow he did. A presence to his left. He could not explain how he knew. There was no sound, no movement of air, nothing his senses could identify. But he knew. There, he said, pointing left. Open your eyes. Wong was standing exactly where Tyson had pointed. How did I do that? Because you stopped trying to see with your eyes and started perceiving with your whole being. Your body knows things your conscious mind cannot access. You have spent your life trusting only your fists. But there are other ways of knowing, other ways of seeing. Tyson stared at his own hand, still raised, pointing at where Wong had been standing. I've never done anything like that before. You have never been still enough to try. Your mind is always running, always fighting, always defending. In that noise, the quieter perceptions cannot be heard. But they are there. They have always been there, waiting for you to become quiet enough to listen. The training continued for hours. Simple exercises that felt almost meditative. Breathing, sensing, learning to quiet the mind that had only ever known combat. It was the hardest thing Tyson had ever done. Harder than any fight. Because the opponent was not someone he could knock out. The opponent was himself, his own patterns, his own defenses, his own desperate need to be powerful because powerlessness had hurt too much. But something was changing. With each breath, each exercise, each moment of stillness, the walls were developing cracks. And through those cracks, light was beginning to enter. You will not master this quickly, Wong said as the session ended. It took Bruce years. It took me decades. But if you practice, if you commit to seeing as seriously as you have committed to fighting, you will become something the world has never seen. What's that? A warrior who does not need to fight. A champion who does not need to win. A man whose power comes from peace instead of pain. He handed Tyson a card with an address. Come tomorrow. Same time. We will continue. Tyson took the card. His hand was steady now. The trembling had stopped. Why are you helping me? You don't know me. I came here to prove you wrong, maybe to hurt you. Why would you teach me anything? Wong smiled, and in his smile was something that looked like recognition. Because Bruce asked me to. He said that one day I would meet a fighter who had built his power from suffering, who had become invincible because vulnerability had hurt too much. He said that fighter would need to learn that true strength is not about being untouchable. It is about being willing to be touched. He placed a hand on Tyson's shoulder. You have been untouchable for a long time, Mike, in the ring and in your life, and it has made you the most feared man in the world. But fear is lonely, and I think you have been lonely for a very long time. Tyson did not respond, but his eyes were wet. Speed beats power. That is true, but that is not the real lesson. The real lesson is that perception beats blindness. Stillness beats chaos. And connection beats invincibility every time. He turned to leave. Tomorrow, 6 a.m., we begin building something new. Then he was gone, and Mike Tyson stood alone in the empty warehouse, holding a card that might change his life. The tears he had been holding back finally fell. Not tears of defeat, tears of something else. Relief. For the first time in years, someone had seen through him. And instead of using what they saw against him, they had offered to help. The cage was starting to crack, and somewhere inside it, a boy who had been waiting his whole life finally began to hope that escape was possible. Thank you for watching. Thank you for witnessing a story about what happens when power meets perception, when invincibility meets vulnerability, when the strongest man in the world discovers that his greatest strength might also be his greatest cage. If this story showed you something about your own walls, please subscribe. Speed beats power. Not because speed destroys, because speed sees. And seeing clearly is the beginning of everything.